Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So now we're starting the mustahabbat and the makruhat of wudu. So which one's first in your sheets?
Dislike acts.
Dislike the acts. Okay, so
No, it's breakers.
no, we've done the nawaqid last lesson.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't here.
So we're doing the makruhat of wudu. Which so the word makruh, Zarif, what does that mean?
Disliked.
Disliked. Yeah. So do the makruhat break your wudu?
No.
No, they don't break your wudu. So only the 8 nawaqid break your wudu. So if you do all of the makruhat, so all 4 things that are listed on the sheet, you do all of them, will your wudu still count?
Yes.
Yes, it will still count. So they will not break your wudu. But Yasin, what will happen if you do the makruhat? If they don't break your wudu?
Your wudu would have less like rewards.
Yeah, so although you'll get the rewards of wudu, and you'll get, let's say if you do the sunnats of wudu, you'll get that, but for the makruhat that you've done, you'll get less rewards. Any questions on that? Okay, so now let's read. Who wants to read? Yasin, can you read the first?
Don't make wudu.
On top of that.
By doing any of these makruhats, the wudu will be disliked and its full blessing will be lost. These are the don'ts of wudu.
Yes, that's what we just explained. So number 1.
Don't make wudu in a dirty place.
Okay, this applies to more it applies to today as well, but more if you imagine in the olden days where they do wudu outside, because obviously the house was just for living and the toilets, everything would be outside. So now imagine if the floor is dirty and you have a bowl and you're doing wudu. So the water is going to go on the floor. What's going to happen to that water?
It's going to go dirty.
And it's going to go on you, isn't it? Yeah? Because normally when you're doing wudu and the water falls,
Splashes onto you.
and it splashes onto you, isn't it? So it just makes sense to do wudu in a clean place. So it applies, but it will apply to us as well. Generally our bathrooms are clean and our sinks are clean as well. So generally it won't apply to us as much. But you can see where it's coming from that perspective. So to do wudu in a clean, don't do wudu in a dirty place. So do it in a clean place. Sorry, can you read number 2?
Don't clean the nose with right hand.
Do you know why?
Because we like eat food with it.
Yeah. So which hand should we do it with?
Left.
Yeah. Do anyone want to add anything? Yeah. Because we do all the clean stuff. So we eat and all the clean stuff we do it with our right hand, and our left hand we use it for the unpleasant things. Yeah, so that includes washing your nose, cleaning your nose, even washing your feet in wudu. We should not use our right hand, we should use our left hand for that. While doing khilal of the toes, we should use our left hand. So that's that one. Imdad number 3?
Don't make wudu in a manner against the sunnah, e.g. don't wash the feet before the face.
Can you explain that?
Basically, if possible, follow the sunnah as much as you can.
Yeah, and if you break the sunnats?
It's makruhat.
Yeah, it's makruh, isn't it? So that's any sunnah. They just gave an example because, so let's say if a person washes the feet first, and then the arms, then the face, it gets the order completely wrong. Which sunnah have they broken?
To do wudu in order.
Yeah, to do wudu in order. So that will be makruh. Although the wudu is done, sorry, why is the wudu done? A person done in a complete wrong order. So why would I say the wudu is still done?
Because everything is like wet.
Yeah, because all the 4 fara'id. That's an incomplete answer, by the way. The more complete answer would have been because he's watched the 4 fara'id, and the order is not necessary in that. Yeah? So to wash it in order is a sunnah. So the fact that the person done it in the wrong order, he broke a sunnah of wudu, so hence he's done something which is makruh, disliked. Although his wudu is done, but it will be makruh. Yes, and give me another example where what can a person do that make the wudu makruh by leaving out a sunnah?
So one sunnah is to wash each part, like so the previous part like it doesn't like dry up. Like so you shouldn't like wash your arms and then go to talk to your friend like for like 1 hour, so then your whole arms will like dry obviously. So then like you should wash your arm, then your feet, then go talk to your friend.
Okay, yeah, so that's a good example. But if the person did do that, would their wudu still count?
Yes, it will.
Yes, because along the was for fara'id. Any questions on that? Simple? Okay, so that's the third one done. Okay, fourth one, yeah?
Don't talk about worldly things whilst doing wudu.
Yeah, well, anyone know what that means? Yeah?
So like worldly things like the new iPhone X just came out. So like if you're talking about that, or my mum's gonna get me the new iPhone X, like you should talk about that.
Yeah. So this will apply, yeah, good example. So this will apply especially when you go to the masjids. You know, in the masjid there's many taps and all the stools are together in one place. So now let's say you sit there and you've got your friend on the next tap and you're doing wudu and you're sitting there talking to him. About anything, worldly things are just about anything. About school, about what you're going to do later, things like that. Just general talking basically. So then that would make your wudu makruh. Because wudu is a worship of Allah in itself. So, we're preparing to enter into in a spiritual state. So we're ready to converse with Allah in our salah or to recite the Quran by touching the Quran. So we're entering into a very spiritual state. So the wudu itself is a form of worship of Allah. So that's why while we're doing this wudu, we should try to have as much concentration as possible. That's why there's hadith as well. That's a person who perfects his wudu. A person who perfects his wudu, and he does all the sunnats of wudu, the mustahabat of wudu, just thinks about Allah while doing his wudu, doesn't talk about worldly things. And then he prays 2 rakat salah, again, concentrating fully on Allah, not thinking about other worldly things or, whatever a person might think about. And then if a person does that, Allah forgives all of his sins. So that's starting from wudu until salah. So wudu is part of the package. It's a worship of Allah, and salah is also another worship of Allah. So that's why in wudu we should try to have thinking about Allah, not talking about worldly things, not thinking about worldly things. Should be ready so we're physically cleaning ourselves, and in terms of our spiritual perspective, we should start to think about Allah as well. Any questions on that? Yeah, so talking about worldly things to your friends while you're doing wudu would be makruh. So now these are the 4 makruhat of wudu, and we can also add with this taking helps from someone. So we can add from that. So when you don't need to take help from anyone and you're taking help. Today this wouldn't apply as much because we use taps, isn't it? Wudu is easy. So now if you imagine it from the olden perspective, they used to do wudu with like a small bowl or something, isn't it?
Someone would pour for them.
Yeah. So now it's better that someone doesn't pour, you should do wudu by yourself. This will apply when you go to countries like Bangladesh or India. We were there, sometimes we'd have to do that. We'd do wudu from a bottle or a bucket and things like that. So you go, because we stayed in like remote villages. We stayed in some we stayed in some mosques that the toilets didn't have doors. Imagine you're staying there for 3 days, 4 days, and the toilets don't have doors, or they don't have a place to take a shower. Once I took a shower in the wudu place, of a mosque. What you just take a bucket and you fill the bucket up and just take a shower there, just before all the people come for salah. So these sort of rulings will apply in that context when you go there.